All right.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tony Talks, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but that are doing good in the world by contributing back to the world with their gifts, sharing their lessons, and sharing opportunities and sharing of themselves. And today I have the pleasure of having back the millionaire maker herself, Miss Loral Langemeier.
Great, thank you.
So great to see you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Thank you, Tony. It's great to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. So nice to see you. You look great. This situation hasn't been bad to you. You look great. You know, I've got the white hair going, the long hair, but you look great as always.
They're opening up a lot, and you know, it's just I've been outside a lot. It's been awesome. Yeah. So where do you want me to start, man? We are through. I love your what do you call it? Situation. Yeah.
The situation.
Yeah. 90 days in, you know, I called May madness, right? Because we were far enough in, things were being opened, and opportunities are starting to fall down everywhere. And I think it's an interesting time for those who are, you know, want to get on the right side of this conversation and really transfer wealth. My gosh, we're right in front of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we went from this bad situation, like I said, with COVID and everything else, to an even worse situation. You know, not to go into it too far, but you know, I read something today that was fascinating. I'll kind of just say that, and then we can move on from it. You know, and where it's about the hashtag Black Lives Matter, which I do believe that all lives matter. But I read something today that really put that into perspective. That's like saying my house is on fire, but other houses could catch fire. Yeah, but my house is on fire right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, that's pretty deep.
Yep.
While it does happen with every other race, and it happens to white people as well and everything else, right now, this is the one that's on fire, and attention needs to be paid, and there have to be dramatic changes to the system so that we can, it's not okay to have a couple of these bad apples in the police department, because it tarnishes the name of so many other good officers that are out there in every department all across the way. And they went from being heroes and first responders, you know, a week ago, to now being villains again. And that's because of a few bad apples. And we need to do much more education and much more to thin the herd of those bad apples, and really do something to curb this, because it's unacceptable. This is happening every couple of years, and it's no good for society, no good for any of it. So.
No, and, you know, it's interesting too, is, you know, one of my dearest friends who's on our team, he keeps, you know, poking it, going, come on, Laurel, write this book with me called The License to Steal. Because if you look at the financial plans, I'm just going to say the system, right? Because you kind of led there, so I'm going to go there with you.
That's fine.
Well, because it's not just in that system. I mean, you look at I'm going to say, like, anybody who has a license, lawyers, but I'm going to go straight to the financial planners who knew in February. I mean, the writing was smeared on the wall that we had an inflated market, and did nothing, because they didn't get any fees by taking you out of the market. They made all your fees by putting you into the market. And I mean, millions. And I mean, I don't even know the number, but on March 17th, we were at a 33% drop in the market, and none of those guys are held accountable. Like, oh, Tony, too bad, your 401k is screwed, you know, too bad, shit, you know, trust me again for the long haul. See, I think there's a lot of people that are trusted to be responsible and are so irresponsible. So I'm with you. I think that there's some system overhauls. And I think COVID kind of opened up the spot for some overhauling to take place. So it's sad to see where we are today on finally opening up, coming back out, and then here we are.
Yeah. You know, it's so true. And, you know, one of the worst things that I heard on the way in is how many, just before the market drop, how many CEOs and how many
52
players and financial planners and everything else got out of the market.
Yep.
All of those people should be brought up on charges for doing that, because they're the market movers. They're the ones that made the market crash as bad as it did. And they should be banned from ever investing in the stock market again.
Yep. Or being the CEO of another company just because they have a big resume and they have the influence of bringing their buddies along. 52 CEOs. And it starts at the top of, you know, a lot of broadcasts that we're on. So it's sad, 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 sad. But the other side of, what's going on with with what happened is the reaction and the violence. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for entrepreneurs, and to watch the entrepreneurs that stood by to now be, to have the loitering, peaceful protesting is fine, but really violating even more people, regardless of color. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just think that's out of control as well.
One of the most tragic videos I saw was of a middle-aged, probably, close to in his 60s, a black man with possibly a son or someone else next to him, crying, saying, why are you doing this to me? I came from the hood as well, and I fought my way here. Why would you do this to me? Why you got to take my computer? Why you got to loot my store? What did I do? I'm from your community. I'm serving the community. Why would you do this to me? And it's so true.
Yep.
While people protesting, listen, I've been making videos. The last 2 videos I did was about courage and about how we all need to have the courage to stand up for what we believe. We need to have the courage to speak out. Sometimes we need to have the courage to sit down and listen. Sometimes we need the courage to march. Sometimes we need the courage to take control, to forgive, to ask for forgiveness, to apologize. There's so many levels of courage, but it takes zero courage to go out there and loot. It takes courage to go out there and protest peacefully. And I absolutely support all those protesters. I think it's horrible, and it's horrible that because for the most part, they're just taking advantage of the situation to enrich themselves. Because guess what? Having that Chanel bag, or that the Chanel perfume, or that Fendi bag, whatever that you stole from that, isn't going to fix the problem. It isn't. Matter of fact, all it does is stoke the fire. So never mind all the other craziness that we hear about. But anyway, let's move on from that and speak about some better stuff. But speaking about big players, I see Eric Swanson is on here. And yes, Loral and I met through Eric Swanson at Habitude Warriors. So thank you, Eric, for that introduction. I've met a lot of really cool people, and we've now have many mutual friends. Well, more than we had before, but we've got even more mutual friends now.
Well, and what's interesting is that was the last stage that I was on. It was with Eric in Houston when I met you. What was that? March 6, 7 was my last flight home. And then I actually had my own event, my marketplace where I teach people to make money. So we were live in a room on the 11th, 12th, and 13th of March. And I'll never forget, we had like 50, 60 people the first night. And because, Trump was on, and you could see the market was going, and you knew the direction of the lockdown, and everybody, with all the, being at home, just the whole thing that happened. By the 13th on that Friday, I think we had like 16 or 17 people left in the room. They were like, I got to go home. And then, the next week, the 17th, the market fell out, worst since 1929. But it's interesting walking through it. And I've had, I always say this was my transition year. 2020 is my transition year. This is my birth month, right? So I'm like, all right, this is the year where I'm going to transition and really work on some different kind of projects that have nothing to do with the space of education. And then this happened. And, I kind of got pulled to the front lines because I'm in that conversation about money. And it's been remarkable to watch the families that, have been 38 million people unemployed, and how many became entrepreneurs. So for me, it's been, this huge celebration of the amount of people that are learning to make money. They go to the workshops. They're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. A paycheck's not my only way to get paid. So in a lot of ways, it's been an interesting triumph for a lot of people. On the other side, those with brick and mortar and huge overheads, I think we both said before this broadcast, I don't think I've ever been so, active. I just like, so many clients need so much help. Should they open their doors at 25% occupancy? You can. It's a cash flow. It's a math formula. You know that, like I know that. Like,
it's worse than staying closed.
It's better to stay closed. For some of them, we're helping them come up with, what is their number? Is it 62%? Is it 78%? When is it even reasonable to put the inventory? I was up in Boise where my husband's doing a big project, and I remember going out for lunch, like at a restaurant. It was the most odd experience a few weeks ago. It was like we were the only two in the restaurant, and they gave the full menu. And I'm thinking, who helped them analyze this? Like, it was a huge menu, like huge. I'm thinking, like the amount of inventory that they had to buy, because most of it had gone away. It's just interesting to watch some entrepreneurs make interesting choices, and those that are making great choices are winning big. Those that don't know how to make choices, that's who I'm loving helping right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right, because inventory in restaurants, the killer. That's what really breaks you. I mean, I owned the restaurant for several years as well, so I'm intimately familiar. I own the bar, restaurant, nightclub. I'm intimately familiar with all of that, and I commend everyone that's in that industry. And I'm not looking to get back into that anytime soon.
Yeah, me neither. I know how to coach and consult, but it would take a lot for me to have to, strike a check and get back into that game.
Yeah, I listen. I got the experience of it, which is fine, but a few other businesses that are interesting as well along the way. So Eric is asking for me to ask you, what is MLFR?
Well, do I say you? I'll give you the politically correct version. You can fill it in, because I don't know who your audience is. So it's my last frickin' rodeo.
So when is that still happening? And because again, I'm supposed to be coming to that with you guys, so I'm wondering.
No,
what's happening is that no.
We are going to be. We're doing our big tables, so around that time, we have opened our big tables up, which is our big community. So we'll be in Boise in August. A lot of people coming. I think they're ready. We've got dozens who have bought plane tickets. And then in November, we're just making it another table because we missed ours. So we'll look at the MLFR, which is, for those of you wanting to know, it's a big freaking last rodeo, which is a huge summit we're going to be doing kind of as it's been great for years and years. And I'm on to another chapter. Have you ever counted? I think that's a great homework for people if they're watching. Is how many chapters have you had in your life? They always say, cats have 9 lives. Like, if you think about your chapters, like I think one chapter is when I grew up in a farm in Nebraska. And then I had another chapter just going to college, right? That was just an experience of social, whatever it was. And then, which included a master's degree. And then I worked for Chevron. I worked on offshore oil rigs. I mean, you talk about the wildest experience, taking me all over the world to, help from Kazakhstan to Papua New Guinea to Angola and Nigeria, Africa, helping put in, health and fitness centers. That was like a chapter, and then I worked with Kiyosaki chapter. So I just think it's interesting when you chapter your life and say, what's the next experience? Because I think too many people have like one long chapter and they get bored. Yeah. I never get bored. I have lots of chapters and lots of experiences. And if you would tell me now that I wouldn't be doing my MLFR this year, I would say thanks to COVID. Maybe it just wasn't my time at this moment to there's too many people needed help. And I think that's, what I appreciate about you, Tony, Eric, you do the same, who's out there. Is when you have a gift and people are in this kind of a time where they need, talks on courage. They need, for me, talks on money. They need talks on, habits and how to be a, habitude warrior, as Eric teaches. I think I haven't seen a lot of it happen. I think I was highly impressed by our community of gurus who actually know a hell of a lot, that came to the playing field. And every day, I know I broadcast for probably 40 something days straight and answered questions for hours about money. What do I do about my debt? What do I do about payroll? What do I do about this? What do I do about that? How do I, defer my loans? Do I pay my mortgage? I mean, you name it. I don't think there was a topic about money that I have not encountered since the beginning of March. It's been insane. But I've been highly impressed. My point is I've been highly impressed by the gurus who came to the playing field, who have the skills and have the talent. And my God, did the world need it? And they still need it. Like, we are not even close financially. And for those who are ready with cash and have really been listening to, my kind of how I do my millionaires in training and that work, the opportunities are enormous. Like I was telling you before, like there's a Ford dealership in Texas. It fell down. I went from 1.1 million to 500 grand. It's done, getting purchased by by a team of folks. There's real estate deals all over. There's auto body shops, there's a car wash, there's a storage unit. I'm seeing so much, and they really don't want to fall down. I think the message that I'm really kind of screaming from the rooftops is be the shark right now, be the partner. If you have 20, 30, 40 grand, those businesses need some help. And if you have some money, this is the perfect time to become the partner. take 15, 20% of their company. You be their partner. They have this, that's what they need. They need capital. And I think a lot of smart moves could happen right now to keep a lot of really great companies and a lot of great people together. If they talk, if they collaborate and they talk and they, treat each other fairly.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of opportunity, and unfortunately, there's going to be even more opportunity because there's a lot of people that are hurting. And I commend you for being out there as much as you have. And so Loral has a show at 3:00 Eastern.
Yeah,
I guess. What time?
12 noon. I've moved back now. In the last few weeks, I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday now. So every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 noon. You can join our Facebook group called Millionaires in Training. And from day one, we have what's called the financial first aid kit, and then we just keep building. And when there's conversations about debt, there's conversations about preserving cash. How do you preserve your credit? You name it, we have talked about it. So it is hours and hours and hours, and it's still all free content. So if you go to the Millionaires in Training, just scroll through the broadcasts, and you'll see, find what you need. And today I just did a great one. With some folks that are picking up businesses where there's a landscaping and pool company in Florida falling down. And my clients are like, okay, I found the company. Now what do I do? How do I make the deal? How do I, bring the capital, or how do I control the contracts? And so, I love all those conversations. So
I love the fact that you're out there doing it, and you are. I see you now. You're only 2 days a week, but I was seeing you every single day, and I learned a lot from watching you. I caught as many as I could. I still got to go back and watch a few that I caught pieces of, and I'm like, man, I got to come back to this. By the way, this is show 109 for me. You were on episode 49. No, 49. You were episode 49.
I love it.
So you're episode 109. So I've been doing this.
Are you every day?
6 days a week. I was doing Sundays as well, but then I pulled away from that, starting Easter and then Mother's Day, and my birthday rather than Mother's Day. So there were a couple of weekends that I didn't do Sunday, so I decided to, do 6 days a week. So I've been going 6 days a week, every week.
Good for you.
You know what? I think it's like you said, everyone that can share or has the ability to bring people forward to their community, because my community, some of my community is also now in your community. Yeah. But we're all in different communities, and we all have a voice. And if you have something to say, something of value, someone of value that you can bring forward, then I think it's all of our responsibilities to do so, which is why I brought you here again today, just to bring a little light onto the opportunity that exists, and it's going to continue to exist, and it's continue to happen, because unfortunately because of the situation that we've been dealing with for the last 3 months, there's going to be side effects of that. And there's going to be a lot of businesses that are hurting, and a lot of opportunity to go in and either joint venture by giving people the infusion of cash that they need. And so you can go in and partner with the company straight away, or just go in and buy a company that is just not able to open the doors again. And now with the unfortunate situation of the looting and everything else, unfortunately, it's making things even worse.
Yep.
So we'll see where this shakes up. But unfortunately, one person's loss is always someone else's opportunity.
Yep.
As sad as that is to say, it's true.
It's so true, Tony. And I think, those that are out there that are still unemployed, and I know, because I'm in Lake Tahoe area. We have a lot of casinos in Reno that are not opening yet. I've got a huge, the Vegas Raiders, where Oakland Raiders are moving in. My son plays for the NCAA, just went back on Sunday, got called back to duty. So cross our fingers. We know there'll be a football season because the NFL opened. The NCAA is opening. I'm seeing more and more sports teams. So it's feeling like that's going to come back to normal. But for those folks that are sitting out there and they went from furloughed to completely unemployed, that's not going to get any better, right? And so that's why, people, will ask me, why are you still, out on a regular basis? Because now's your time to be be an entrepreneur. There's so many needs that are still here that, you have a skill set. There's something you can do to help somebody else's life. And I can tell you a huge gap, Tony, and I hope to God it's not true. And California has announced, I hope they reverse it, that they're going to keep their kids home. I've watched it. I think these teachers, and this isn't a hit on teachers in general, there are some teachers that have been amazing through this, and there are teachers that have been horrible through this. And they have sat back, collected a paycheck. They didn't take attendance. I know I have a 13-year-old daughter. And it's shocking that some of those kids, and when it all came down to it, I don't know if you saw that out on the East Coast. I don't know. I think you have kids or yours are really young, right?
Mine are 13 and 16.
So you have the same. So I don't know about you, but I mean, a lot of the West Coast states, what they did was whatever the grade was when they left school in March, whenever they did, that was their grade. Like, are you kidding? And now we're going to continue this? So if you're like a damn good teacher and you're out there, I can tell you the school systems, I mean, there's so many systems that need help. But if you're like one of those people, I mean, God, get to the playing field and help some of these teachers learn how to teach online, because there's so many kids, call it the COVID kids, right? They're going to be so left behind if they don't get back into some, and whether it's classroom or online, it's just proper teaching techniques.
Well, not only that, because there's so many teachers that were just not in the mix of the technology. So, and honestly, in today's world, that's a shame that is allowed to happen. But again, that's the problem with tenure and everything else. And this is not a knock on teacher. I love teachers.
Me too.
I've got an even bigger appreciation for teachers now, as we all do, than everyone else. But this is not a teacher problem. This is a system problem. This is a board of education. It's a systemic problem. It is not. I'm going to repeat. It is not teachers' faults. I still do believe that 95% of teachers are underpaid, if not all teachers.
Well, I agree. I would agree with that. And I do think, and there are some schools who have done amazing, and I know teachers that have gone on their own dime to figure out how to be better online teachers, because that is going to be their platform. But I'm praying to God August, September comes around and things get somewhat back to some normalcy. I think, the systems, it'd be great to see some of these systems get overhauled. But again, to your courage point, who's going to have the courage to stand up and lead and teach? And
hopefully our politicians actually get the courage to do what's right and not just what's right for them. I think, as many political situations happen, you want to get things happen. You want to make sure that things get done, hold their paychecks for as long as the average American is having to hold out without a paycheck. And they can take their $1,200 a week or $600 a week, whatever they're getting on unemployment. That same thing should happen to our politicians. And then I think that we'd see bigger advances and better decisions that are going to work for everyone and not just for them and their friends and everything else. Because not to politicize, this is being politicized.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that the answer is not keeping targets open and keeping churches closed, and not keeping some things open and other things closed. And it's not bankrupting small businesses. That I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be something different, because the fallout from this could be a lot worse than what.
Well, my bigger concern, and I'll say, we are right in that political line, and my team's like, Loral, stay on the line. I'm like, all right, I'll try my best. Eric's out there dying laughing, going, oh my God, he knows me so well. Is, like forcing reliance on the social system. I'm sorry, I'm married to a Canadian. And if anybody, and I will say it from a Canadian's perspective, if you think their healthcare is free and cheap and good, you better wake up. Yeah. They are taxed to pieces and they pay. And there are some provinces that are taxed over 60%. Because that's how they have free health care. They don't have it free. And if you are healthy, you might stand in line for an MRI for 8 to 10 months. So it is not what we want, is to become socially reliant. We are entrepreneurs. We have, my heart and soul is for get to the playing field, support and serve.
Entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs in mid-range and medium and mid-range and small companies are the ones that are actually making the difference in this world. That's what makes the economy go round. You can't tax. The reality is you can't continue to tax the people that are working to pay for those that are not. Now, obviously in today's world, it's different because people want to go work and they can't. They want to open their businesses and they can't. So this is a very different situation. Yeah. But on any given Sunday, so to speak, I'm very much about teaching a man how to fish. I'm not about giving him, give him a fish a couple of days or give him a fish once a week, but you can't, then he's got to learn how to fish. Otherwise, you can't. It's not sustainable. You cannot. Bernie Sanders actually said it the best, and I'm not a big fan of his, but
not at all.
Bernie said it the best. You can't. What is it? There's millions of people working 40 hours a week, still living below the poverty line. Well, that's because you're taxing the shit out of them to give it to the people that work 0 hours a week, right?
You and I are in the same camp.
That's
Yep.
about as bad as that is a political statement.
No, it is. But, I want people to count.
Nevertheless, it's so true. Listen, I got to speak my voice. I got to have the courage to speak out, right? And the reality is, everyone needs to contribute something to the system. For those who contribute nothing, now listen, there's the elderly, there's the sick, there's the disabled, there's the veterans, there's certain groups of people and children. People need to be protected. They need to have subsidies, but able-bodied Americans should be made to go to work. And if you want to grab a check, no problem. Here's your little clippers or whatever, and go do something for the community. Go do something for the environment. Go do something somewhere. Listen, I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 6 years old.
Really?
My parents worked their fingers to the bone to make sure that there was food on the table, and there was never an overabundance of anything. Ice cream was, whenever, special occasion type of thing. It was not, it was a very frugal upbringing. We'll say that. And I know you got to go, right? That you get, you're going to get
I love you.
in a minute. But the reality of it is we did what we had to do. So I'm familiar with the plight of the immigrant. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I did not grow up, so I get it. I understand. And I think that everyone has to be responsible for their own, we all have to take an active part in our own salvation. You can't wait on someone else to feed you all the time, because you can't tax the hell out of everybody to pay for the people that choose not to work, not to contribute, not to be part of the system, but only a leech on the system. And that's the reality, whether people like to hear it or not. That is the reality. So I just hope that we can all get back to work. I hope that we can all open up these businesses again. I hope that more businesses are able to open up so that they don't need to be acquired, so that they don't need huge infusions of cash. So that's my goal. And for right now, what I want everyone to know, just follow Loral. Follow her on Millionaire Maker on Instagram. Go follow her on Join Millionaires in Training on Facebook. And there's actually, I'm going to put a link in here. She's also got a program. And if you want
you went to it, didn't you? You went to it.
Actually, I to be honest, I haven't.
I think you have to go.
I know.
So can I tell them about it?
Yeah, tell them about it. I'm actually going to post a link to it, because I got the link for just before jumping on the show.
Okay, perfect.
So want to jump?
Yeah, so for years and years and years, I would go live. That's why, I'm a huge fan of Eric. We would travel all over. And I was an offstage, like when this all happened, this COVID happened, I got canceled from 15 stages. I think 4 or 5 of them were Eric's, right, to go out to North Carolina. I don't remember going to Scottsdale. And everything went down. And so we got online and, like I said, went live every day. And we said, well, we know how to do this online. So I've taught this marketplace technology for decades. So I know how to teach you how to make money. So unlike any other summit you're ever going to attend, you will make money in mine. So April 13, 14, 15, we went live. We had 179 people on, and the winner, I think, made $5,800 in 48 hours. So I'm talking like real money. We start next week. We did one in May. Now we're doing our 3rd summit. It's not even a summit. It's called a Meetup and Marketplace. We're going to meet up. We have over 100 people now, and we are going to make money together. So we're going to teach you how to put an offer together. We're going to teach you what you can sell, how to sell it. And then we teach in a live room. There's about 10 hours of teaching. We start Wednesday night on June 10th. To Friday night at 5. So we go Wednesday at 5 to Friday at 5. For 48 hours, we teach you. And then you go into little sub classrooms and you make money. And you do what I call an ask, tell, ask, and you collect cash. And last time, Tony, I know last time we tallied in May, the group as a whole, we're north of $40,000 made in the group. So this is the place where you get to come and make some cash. So if you're short on cash or just need to learn, it's only a $97 ticket, and the link I know you put up there. It's a person relevant.
So it's relevant to people living outside the U.S. I think Danielle, she may be in Canada.
Well, I'm married to a Canadian, so we have a lot of Canadian resources. I have taught relentlessly all over the world except for Antarctica. So I have a lot of tons of resources in Australia. I think between 2010 and 13, my daughter and I were in Australia 56 times. So heavy Australian and New Zealand connections. UK, I have clients in Iceland, Dubai, South Africa, Kuala Lumpur, Bali, you name it, I've been everywhere. So we've traveled extensively as a family to teach people all over the world. So yes, absolutely relevant.
Listen, Eric is saying you should have a Habitude Warrior conference in Antarctica.
I know. Can you imagine? We were going to go, and then I looked at my kids, because my promise when I first I started parenting as a single mom. I had Logan. I want to be a mom. He didn't want to be a dad. It's kind of an easy decision. I was going to be a mom. So when I had kids, just to be, because I grew up, I should say not as an immigrant, but very, very, I farm girl in Nebraska. Didn't have, we were fine, but we weren't wealthy by any stretch, or anything that I teach we didn't live or know. And I just kind of pledged to my kids, because I didn't get on an airplane. I think I was 17 or 18 before I got on a plane. And I just said, I'm going to take my kids all over the world. And we got to that point where Logan was going to turn 20. And it's like, do we want to go to Antarctica and cross the converging seas? Or do we want to go back to Africa for a safari? So Africa won. So we skipped Antarctica. We'll go there sometime, maybe. I don't know. I have other agendas now.
Eric says that Logan is now 9 feet tall.
He is 6'5" and 285 pounds. He's quite a large man.
Yeah, well, that's like 9 feet. So
he's a big boy. Yeah. He used to work with Eric. He used to help be like the speaker organizer, and he was worked at Eric's events. I remember flying him to Texas, and he was a teenager. I'm going, oh my gosh, Eric, you got to take care of my kid. Oh my God, I'm sending him to you all by myself. So he's a good one.
Yeah, amazing. So listen, I know that you've got to jump off, but everybody, I put the link in the comments. I also popped it up on the screen here. Jump on there, check out Loral's event. It's $97. And by the way, to answer Danielle, she's in South America. Yes, the principles of making money work everywhere.
Yes,
they work.
And the other thing too is there's usually about our average class has been. We had 179, and then we had about 156. So we about 150 is a pretty good group that we can get everybody making money. And you break out into 5 different classrooms. And then, oh, by the way, Tony, you have to come, whether you could come to the whole class or not, just jump into some of it. I got a website because the thing that I don't know about the rest of the group, that if you've been to a lot of seminars, like I loved after hours, like always loved the after hours, whether it was, whoever's event I was at. Yeah. So I got the website called Zafter Hours. So it's like Zooming after hours. Nice. So every once in a while, also, if you follow me in the Millionaires in Training, at least once a week, somebody's like, let's go do his after hours. And whether it's not about drinking, if you drink, you drink. If you don't, you bring your water. It's just about that time sharing where it's kind of unscripted and unstructured. And we talk about deals. We talk about money, talk about politics. We just talk. And so it's kind of a fun. So watch for Zafter Hours. And every once in a while, we'll pull that.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to say that's the best part of the event, but that is one of the highlights of events, right? Yeah. Socializing after the fact. I know that at Eric's event and when we were in Texas, it was freaking awesome. We were hanging out every night after the event, and that's where connections are made. That's where you get to meet people at a different level, right? You get to really get to know people. So Zafter Hours, I love it.
Zafter Hours.
I'll definitely jump on one of those. So listen, I know you've got to go. By the way, Eric, if you want to jump on, I sent you a link. If you want to pick up the balance of the 20 minutes here on Tony Talks. But yeah, so looking forward to this after hours. I'm going to go on. We'll figure it out. I'll jump on the class as well, but as I told you, I'm being pulled in 73 different directions.
I know. Well, I appreciate being on. Thank you so much, Tony.
My pleasure. And I do want to talk to you about that thing after, we'll have a conversation offline.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for all of you. I appreciate you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
So Eric, if you want to jump on, I mean, you're not as good looking as our friend Loral, but you're welcome to jump on. So yeah, the opportunity, my friends, is everywhere. And where we are right now with business and everything else lends itself to the opportunity of you're going in and, like I said, whether you're going to acquire, whether you become an investor in it, but there's opportunity everywhere. And in some cases, you can just jump on and help someone with your resources. Maybe you're great at marketing, you're great at innovating, and you can give someone some great ideas as to how to bring their business back and just contribute that way and get a little bit of the upside. You don't even have to say, listen, I want half your business. You can come in and say, listen, here's where I am. If I can increase your profitability, can I get a piece of the upside? So sometimes it's just about going for the upside and not going for the jugular. right? Because there's so many businesses that it's a shame that are suffering. So if you can help, by all means, jump on. And with that said, let me get Eric out of the green room before he destroys the place. He's on here. Let's see. Let's bring him. There's so many businesses that it's a shame that are suffering. So if you can help, by all means.
What's up, man? I'm here for the.
What's going on, bro?
Dude, I'm here for the Zafter. What's up? Where's this Zafter?
Hours actually, it's like in 3 hours. We got to crack open the bottle of, well, in your case, water or tea.
We can spice tea with something. What's up, man? What's going on? Who was that young lady? She seemed really familiar. Who was
it was great to have her. It was great to have her on.
Oh, man.
We had was it last week? I guess it was last week or a week and a half ago when I did the 100th episode. I had an invite as well. You jumped on for a little bit as well from your car.
Everyone. Joseph.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So I had sent Loral an invitation. I said, hey, listen, if you can, jump on. And she's like, I can, but I'd love to, come back on the show. So that's kind of how that happened. So nice. It's always good to have her on. She's really she's so full of knowledge. Unfortunately, we didn't have her the full hour, so we didn't get into a lot of the business part of it.
Where'd she go? Get her
back. Yeah, she had another commitment. She actually stayed on a few minutes longer than she could have. But I appreciated her coming on. So how are you doing, man? How are things are you in Arizona now or California? I never know.
I'm calling her right now to get her back on the Zafter hours. I'm gonna say, where the hell are you?
I think she's on another call or another meeting. Yeah.
Maybe she was lying to you. Maybe she's jumping on my call.
Maybe on a separate screen.
We'll see if she answers real quick. Where am I? Today I'm back in studio in office studio. It's going to in Scottsdale. Scottsdale right now.
Man. Scottsdale, are things crazy there? Or there are things happening?
Same thing you guys were talking about earlier. That I think we're all in the same opinion that voices need to be heard. I love that. I think it's beautiful to get, not beautiful, it's probably not the right word, but appropriate to get out there and show your voice and stop being silent and so forth. But violence is a little different than silence. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think we're in the same boat that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary, it's scary. And that's not to belittle or to put down or to excuse the scariness and the years of torment that Black lives have dealt with in this world. So I get it. I'm one of those guys who I get it. And I was just on another live earlier today, since you brought this up. I'm very similar to Loral, right? You brought this up. Here's the can of worms. I was on a live earlier today, and here it is, right here. Boom, there, bam. And those are the three words. Like I was talking to these about. Like they're like, well, what do you think the solution is? And I honestly, there's a lot of different solutions that I think we need to do. So I'm not going to get into that. But the ultimate long-term solution is three things. It's knowledge, education, and time. And those are the three major things that I believe wholeheartedly that is going to assist this whole situation that we have in our world. I was sad to say earlier on another live that I'm so sorry to say, I'm sad to say this, that I don't know, I'm saddened by the fact that it seems like, to have a world, or even the U.S., to have the U.S. be, oh yeah, we have no racial anything in the U.S., to abolish racism. I don't, you and I are ever going to see that in our lifetime. I don't think generations. I mean, it's going to take a long from generation to generation to generation to do these three things: knowledge, education, and time. Knowledge meaning the knowledge about every single person. Just get knowledgeable about the other side, what not the other side, but their thought patterns. They've gone through. Have that empathy, and then educate our youngsters. Right? Educate you have a 13 and 16-year-old. Educate them, right? Because let's face it, why are people doing the things they're doing? Because they learned it from their fathers and their fathers and their fathers or mothers. Their parents.
The big gap is, as they say, education starts in the home, and it's about respect, and it's about respect, and it's about learning to respect yourself. If you don't have any self-respect, you can't possibly respect others. And if you have self-respect, you will inevitably have respect for others.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So and that really starts at home, and the respect factor is so important because, again, it's about respecting other people's opinions. It's about respecting other people's differences. It's about respecting sometimes things that you don't understand. Just because you don't understand it doesn't make it right. You know,
right.
Make it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just because you don't understand it doesn't make it wrong. Doesn't make it wrong. So it's about, people say tolerance. It's not tolerance. Tolerating means it's about acceptance, which is very different than tolerance. To tolerate something, you're like, okay, I'm tolerating that. Hate that shit. I'm tolerating it. Acceptance is just accept that people are different. Accept that people have
acceptance the difference. Yes, love it. Sorry to interrupt you. Accepting, but I want to emphasize what you just said. Accepting the differences, because I was saying, I think it's beautiful. Like, okay, I'll just tell you this, and I know you immigrated to the U.S. I was born and raised here in the U.S. in Washington D.C. And then to all over the place. But then I moved to Puerto Rico, and I just love bringing the fact that Puerto Rico. If you've been to, have you been to Puerto Rico before? Okay, so when you live there, you become what they call a Borican, right? You're Puerto Rican. Okay, you're literally you're accepted by the culture there and so forth when you live there for a while. And I lived there for a while, and it was so cool. I always told my friends this. I loved it. They're like, what's one of the best things that you love about Puerto Rico? I said, well, the beaches are great. People are cool. There's a little bit of crime and so forth, obviously. But here's what's really cool is there's no race in Puerto Rico. We're all Puerto Rican. That's what we call ourselves. There's no black. There's no white. There's all these different shades of awesome. Is what it is. Ooh, Shades of Awesomeness. Great book title. But the point is, though, you're just Puerto Rican. And it didn't matter if they all treated you the same way. That you were Puerto Rican, great, you're Puerto Rican. I don't care how white you are, because I was pretty white, although I got tan there. But you're more tan than I am now. What's up?
Well,
so
sunny in New Jersey now. So I do get, I have that Mediterranean.
That's right. It's a little sunny out here today. Today I looked it up. It's 210 degrees right now.
In the shade.
Yeah, no, it's we're a layover to hell. Yeah. So I'm just kidding. There was a little layover. Get it? You fly to Phoenix to go to hell, because hell's a little hotter and Phoenix is really hot. I had to explain the joke. Probably not a good joke. So anyway, man, I think we're saying the same thing. This is I think there's a lot of there's 2, 3, 4 different really big things going on. To say, just talking about the racial situation that's happening. I mean, it's just horrendous, and I'm catching myself saying, okay, well, I don't like the violence. I get it. But for myself, I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm pissed. But then I'm thinking, okay, what about putting myself in the shoes of the individual who's had all this violence and all this oppression for years and years and years and years and years, and they don't know. And it's basically, it's like a boiling, like the steam's boiling over, right? Whatever that expression is, and enough is enough, and that's what they're saying. And I kind of see. I don't agree with it, but I kind of see the point. I see it now. So like you said earlier, it's a systemic situation. It's not just one little thing. I believe that we need major leadership right now. I'm not going into politics right now at all. Although I am friends with, I grew up with Bernie's son. Bernie used to come over to my house and pick up Levy. He and I went to a high school together over in Vermont, in Burlington. It's funny you were talking about Bernie. Nice Bernie impression, by the way. I'm going to get him on the phone. Hold on. Should I bring Levy on? I'll bring Bernie's son on if you want right now. If you want.
They're doing the version of his father.
Yeah. So Bernie's a hilarious guy. Levy is the son's name, and Levy was so funny because he would come over, obviously really really independent but democratic. I can't say it. And they would come over. He would literally this is a funny story. I can't believe I'm telling you this. On Friday or Saturday night, I had my friends in Vermont, and they're like, what do you guys want to do? Should we go to the movies? Should we go? We went to roller skating at a place called Wheelwile, I think it was called, or something like that. No, Broad Acres. I just remember. And we would do all that for weekends and so forth. But then we met Levy Sanders, and we're like, this guy's hilarious. All we would do is we'd have him come over, and And literally just, my dad was there. My father's an attorney. He knows Bernie. And Levy would drive over and come over, and he's like, what are we doing? And we're like, no, we're just going to hang out in the living room and just chat. So we would put him in a certain chair, a certain spot. And we would just like, he would come up with the wildest jokes, the craziest things. We videotaped the whole thing. He's like, what is that? He's like, is that a grocery bag with holes in the middle? What's happening? We were videotaping the whole thing. He had no idea. I still have those tapes somewhere in Vermont.
Nice. Well, you know, you got to laugh even through all of this, through all the madness, is you've got to find a reason to smile. You got to find a reason to be happy. You've got to find a reason to listen. You got to find a reason to be happy. You got to find a reason to love. You got to find a reason to just be grateful for what is. You know, but it all goes back, like I said, it goes back to compassion. It goes back to, honestly, it's respect, compassion, and love, right? Mm-hmm. And for those who, you know, and courage. You know, I was speaking about courage at the beginning of the show. It takes courage to do so much, right? It takes courage to do all that I was talking about, accepting and forgiving and loving someone that you know that you don't know. You know, one of the things that I made this comment, I made this post a couple of days ago, and you know, it's basically, it says you learn nothing from life if you think you're always right. And you know, one person's opinion, you know, again, that's where respect comes in. It really comes into to really respecting other people's opinions, respecting the differences that we have with each other. And at the end of the day, we all bleed red. We're all the same. We're all, we're all the same. It's like you said, in Puerto Rico and Brazil, as an example. Brazil, you know, is another melting pot of the world. There, you know, there really is a little bit of everything over there. And, you know, listen, we're all different. We're all the same. And you know, one of the things that I've said that during this COVID-19, the situation that as I coined it, you know, it was something that brought everyone together, right? Because nothing brings people together like a common enemy. And then this happened. People were at the head of compassion. And this happened because, again, to the point, the conversation that I was having with Loral is people are stressed. They're financially stressed. They're emotionally stressed. They've been locked up for 2 months. Many of them are not being able to work. They're having a hard time sustaining their families and sustaining their livelihood and paying their bills. You know, it's a powder keg just waiting to blow up. And then this happened. And, you know, and again, I don't know what the answer is, except, like I said, it's like you said, it's education, it's respect, it's compassion, it's love. You know, and I think it was Martin Luther King that said that darkness, you can only bring light into darkness, and you can only bring love. The only thing to conquer hate is love, right? The same way that the only thing that will take darkness away is light. The only thing that will take hate away is love. And sometimes it's hard to love your enemy, but usually it's your enemy that needs it the most. It's the person that is hurting the most, and they're hurting. And as the saying goes, hurt people. And sometimes we need to have that compassion to understand that. And look, I've not always been of this mindset, to be honest. You know, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in a rough, in a bit of a rough place. It wasn't the roughest part of the city, but I went through the Newark school system, and I got jumped multiple times growing up. I was a young, scrawny kid, and and I was jumped, once at school, another time, going home, another time going to school. So it happened. So I understand where there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of pain and everything else, but we just got to get past all that, man. We got to get past all that, and people need to just learn to love and respect each other. And that means the people that are out there, go ahead, by all means, go and protest. I support that 1,000%. Like I said, I'm being as vocal as I can be, still trying to be as respectful as possible without getting too crazy. And I will say that there's no reason for looting. Because there's so many people that are suffering. You heard me talk about it with Loral, that, there's a man crying, that they're destroying his business. And this guy is one of the guys that came from the hood, as he said. He's the one from the community, serving the community. They're robbing his store. and he is the community.
Yeah, he's a black man as well. I know. Let me ask you this question, because I think questions really make a big difference, right? Instead of me telling you something or somebody telling us something, asking a question is really powerful, right? Because it opens up the dialogue, opens up the brainwaves. So my quick question is what do you think the difference is between, as I mentioned, Puerto Rico and you mentioned Brazil? What do you think the difference is? Because between countries like that, Puerto Rico is actually it's not a country,
but yeah,
it's a republic of the U.S. But still, what do you think the difference is? Why there's not as much racism there? They're all one race basically. They consider themselves. And what's the difference in Brazil, let's say, and here in the U.S.?
Well, I'm not
race I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that there isn't any racism in Brazil, but it is one hell of a melting pot. You can literally, it is one big melting pot. But Brazil has its own challenges, from the super elite to the super poor, and the middle class is very small, much smaller than it is here, certainly. So they've got their own.
Well, we changed that, didn't we? COVID just changed that. The middle class is now the lower class here.
Yeah. It's a shame. So, and right now Brazil is getting slaughtered. Wow. COVID is really wreaking havoc on Brazil, because Brazil is now going into its winter. So they're having major issues. So I don't know that I want to compare the political turmoil that's happening there. But
no. Yeah, I was just talking about race.
I understand. I don't know. I think it's maybe because
it just doesn't seem like just talking about racism. That's what I'm talking about. It seems like in Brazil, there's not as much as blatant racism here in the U.S. Let's say. That's what I was talking about.
That's a great question. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that
I think I know.
I haven't thought about that. But go ahead.
I have a guess. I don't know if I'm right, but I have a guess, and I'm smiling because I'm nervous. I think the guess is that Brazilians love Brazil. They love their country. They love their country, and I think that that love has been waning a lot in a lot of the U.S. for the U.S. It's just a guess. I think
Danielle, I guess, lives in Brazil. She says there's a lot of racism in Brazil. So,
oh well, then there you go. Delete the last 7 minutes of this broadcast. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize that. Okay,
but Brazil, Puerto Rico, I know, is like that. Look, people always have a problem with those that are different, right? And I think that's unfortunate what it is. At the end of the day, it's just about having respect, mutual respect for others. Respect. It doesn't make a difference whether you're of this religion or that. There's good people and bad people in every culture, every religion, from every place in the world. There's good, bad, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And we got to focus on the good and not on the bad. We got to deal with the bad, but we got to focus on the good. Right? There's a lot of good that that gets done by a lot of people in places that so again, respect.
Right now, though, right this second, right now, respect, knowledge, respect, education, time. These are going to heal as long as we do the other one, all of them together. But the thing is, right now, from what I'm gathering from the people that I've spoken to over the last 7 days now, 8 days, it's too soon. They're saying it to not just me, but just I've noticed that they're telling. I don't want to get into this political or races as well, but they're telling certain people it's too soon. Like when someone says, "Oh, you know what we all need to do," like you just mentioned, all we need to do is we all need to like really love on each other and hug each other and respect each other and this and that. And I agree with 1,000% what you said. But I'm not saying I agree with it, but I kind of do agree with what they're saying. They're saying, Tony, it's too late for saying that right now. And it's too quick that you're just, saying, oh, this is all we need. Well, no, this isn't all we need.
No, it is. No, absolutely. We need reform. We need, I was saying, well, so you weren't there for when I already had the conversation with Loral. Yeah. So I was thinking that you've already been part of that conversation. But listen, by the way, we have somebody coming in, I think from the Martini Bar at the top of the building. And,
There it is. There it is.
Alex Stern, ladies and gentlemen, what's up?
Hey, Alex, good to see you, my friend. How's everything?
All right. How are you?
How are things
Listen,
in Boston?
Everything's good. I don't know if you can hear me all right. I was just up on the roof, and is that if it's coming? Sounds coming through okay?
Is that a new Louis Vuitton bag? What do you have there?
I got. What size of boots do you need?
Too soon.
What color bags? Yeah, I got them.
Yeah,
all.
too soon. Patagonia jacket? What is that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I heard. I was hearing you guys. Eric pinged me. I thought I'd swing in and say a quick hello.
I'm glad you did. Good to see you.
We're infiltrating Tony's show. My next guest, by the way, that I'm bringing on in 3 minutes is
Loral left early.
Tony, can you get in the green room for a little bit, Tony? Just for a second here.
Yeah, so I missed Loral. I saw that she was on, but got tied up on my own, so I couldn't do both.
Yeah, no, of course. I appreciate you coming on for a minute. We're just talking about this stuff that's happening. But yeah, what you missed before, Eric, was I said we need serious reform. They say, well, there's always a few bad apples. Well, guess what? The police department isn't the place for bad apples. When they show, because at any point, I'm sure that this officer that did this has been brought up on some other kind of accusation. But the unions, and if you're union, whatever, it is what it is. I'm not here to attack you specifically or the unions. First of all, I don't attack anyone, right? But I'm not a put it this way, the unions jump right to the guy's defense. And there's cops, listen, most cops are great people. They're great cops. I know hundreds of cops, literally hundreds of cops. So I would say that the vast majority of cops are great people. They're great. They're great cops. They're everyone. But then there's a minority of cops that aren't. But the union defends them to the hilt. So the union already came in to defend these guys. You know what? Sometimes it's just indefensible, right? And that's kind of part of the problem. So if people like this have been brought up on charges, listen, there's people that that this person already, he's been involved in 2 fatal shootings. Okay, well, at some point, if there isn't justification or if there's some kind of fluff justification, maybe that person doesn't need to be there anymore. Or if he's been brought up on domestic violence charges, I don't care what happened, what the situation is. You got brought up on domestic charges, you're no longer a cop. You got involved in certain things that they need to be held to a higher standard, and when that doesn't happen, situations like this tend to flare up. Every cop, I think, and I don't know, I haven't gone back to check, but I'd venture to say that every cop that's been involved in one of these fatalities has had some other prior incident that led up to it that should have and could have been prevented.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I haven't looked at I haven't seen that history of this particular police officer. But I agree with you. But also, it's interesting how I heard this, that police officers are the ones they're within this union, which is great. It's great that they have a union and so forth. If you get fired from a job, a regular job, you don't automatically have a union representative representing you right away. Police officers do right away. They literally have a representative, and don't talk to the police. Don't talk to anyone. He is the police, right? But don't talk to any other attorneys and so forth. We talk internally, and then they're represented. It's interesting. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I'm just saying it's an interesting point. But I agree that, and I heard this again on some broadcasts, and I agree with them. They said, police officers, you should never have it's unacceptable to have even one bad apple. It's almost like having a bad apple as a pilot. Let's say whatever airlines, right? Airline says United Airlines or whoever, pick an airlines. And they say, well, we have 1,000 pilots, and most of them are great. We have 3 bad apples that, they don't really like to land the plane on the runway all the time. They go in the pass, and so you can't have that. I think that's kind of the point that they're trying to make is policing. It's called policing, and I mean the problem that we're talking about right there is people are taking, it's like the Steven Seagal thing, right? Whatever those movies were, above the law, right? They feel like they can take the law in their own hands, and they have a badge to deal with that, and then he had a group of three other guys there that stood around saying, you know, and who knows why they stood around. Maybe they were racist, or maybe they were like, well, this guy's going to kick my ass later if I don't stick around and let him do whatever he wants because I tried to step up last week. Who knows? Nobody knows, right?
Well, listen to this, and this might, I haven't verified it, and I'm assuming Betty is a very intelligent woman, so I'm assuming she probably got this from the TV, from the news. But he thought she heard Minneapolis cop had 18 accusations against him. I had heard he had a bunch of accusations against him, but that's the whole thing. The unions come on to defend. But if you're a person in power, you should not be. You need to be held to a higher standard. And for all my police brothers out there, that you know, listen, I love and respect all of you. You know, there's so many of you guys that are friends of mine. This is not a shot on you. However, or rather, you know, there needs to be more accountability. And I think that sometimes what happens is, well, there's a lot of police officers that get started at 19 or 20 years old. I think that they should probably get started a little bit later so that they have a little bit more life experience and maturity and the level that, so that they don't come in so early. And again, maybe that's the wrong way of looking at it. But I think that you know, I don't know what the solution is, but I know that if people are, if they've got 18 accusations of whatever it is on them, then, you know, we need to pay attention. It's, again, this is not the grocery store clerk that's coming in late. It's not, put it this way, if a grocery store clerk gets caught shoplifting 18 times, he's not going to have a job after the second time. If he gets caught, or the bank teller gets caught with the hand in the till, oh, but it just only happened once. No, that was once that you got caught. 18 accusations, that's 18 accusations from the time that somebody actually filed a report. How about all the times that they didn't, right? So, and the thing to understand, and that's not to say that just because somebody makes an accusation, that doesn't mean that they're guilty. I am not saying that. There's a lot of bad people out there that are looking for a payday, that are blaming a cop for everything that happens bad in their life. And, you know, I'm not, so I can respect that. That happens across the board. But we've got to start paying more attention, because this must stop. I mean, their country is again being torn apart, and they politicize it. Now they're blaming Trump. What the hell does Trump have to do with this? These things were happening under the Obama administration, right? It happened. The last one happened under the Obama administration. So the fact that they're now politicizing and pointing fingers is aggravating the hell out of me. But the reality of it is, this country is being torn apart because of lack of proper leadership. And people, honestly, you know, the reality of it is, we need to have more adults in the damn room running this country, and not just a bunch of people placating to their base. You know, they need to represent us, and that's for sure. But at the same time, stop politicizing murderous acts and whatever else is happening. Be leaders, be the adult in the room. And if that means, listen, at no point will you make everyone happy. I say this all, you've probably heard me say this. It's impossible to make everybody happy. It's easy as hell to piss everybody off, but it's impossible to make everybody happy. But you've got to be the adult in the room. You've got to, listen, if you're a parent, you can't say yes to every whim that your kid has. Same thing, you can't say yes to every person that comes and complains about something. You've got to make the best decision that's right for the country, not what's right for you, and to line your pockets and that of your friends. And that, unfortunately, has been the status quo in this country for far too long. And you got a guy in the office trying to change that, and he gets accused of that and everything else. And I'm not saying he's the perfect person to be in there, but God knows. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm gonna stop there.
It's definitely for sure that we need some major leadership in this country. By the way, I just want to take a quick pause and thank our live studio audience. Okay, so and
I'm sorry, John Kovac came on before, but I was in the middle of the rant, and I'm sorry, John, that I didn't bring you on.
Bring him on.
You say, I agree with you, Tony. We need Bloomberg back. Thank you for agreeing with me. I don't know if we need Bloomberg back, but I understand. We definitely don't need the guy that's in there now that is quite literally, this is happening, the city's burning, and he comes on and blames President Trump. Take responsibility for running your own damn city. Sorry. President,
the
mayor of New York is out of control.
Honestly, there's nobody's going to agree 100%, right? Whether you look around, you go. I mean, that's why we have Democrats, we have Republicans. We literally, I always sometimes joke about it. We're not the United States, we're the divided states, and it always confuses me. But we're never going to have 100% of people going, oh my God, that's the perfect client, or a candidate for our leadership. It's just, getting it right most of the time. I'm looking, I hope we can all agree on that. And I really believe that right now we just need some major leadership. I'll tell you, Tony, you clearly think one way, and I believe I think a little differently, which is totally fine.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know we don't like each other. But my thought pattern is that, I think it keeps on going up and up and up and up, meaning there's the city level, there's the governor level, the state level, and then there's what? Well, that what is, and I realize I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. That's why Alex here. It's there's and you, Tony. There's definitely restrictions that the president can do and can't do and so forth. I get that, but I think I'm just telling you as a layman's perspective, and this is not just my opinion. It's a lot of people that I talk to. A lot of us, we are worried about the nation right now. We're worried about our livelihood. We're worried about everything from COVID to now race. This racism to there needs to be a solution, and we're all worried. At least I'll speak for myself. I'm worried. I want a leader to literally hold my hand and say, hey, you know what, we got this. We're going to take care of this. We're going to help both sides. We realize there's both sides involved here. We want to be empathetic to both sides of this situation of racism, as well as that sounds weird to say both sides of racism. That sounds very strange, but you get my point. To get the solution, and like you said earlier, Tony, agreeing and believing that it's a beautiful thing to be different. We want differences in our. I don't want to be the same as every single.
What makes this country great? It's the color.
Yeah. We want to embrace the change. We want to embrace the differences between us. At the same time, in a great peaceful way. And anyway, so that's my little soapbox of the fact that I truly believe, for me, I truly believe that I'm looking for someone as a leader, whether it's Trump or whether it's not Trump. I don't care who it is. I don't care the name. I just want someone in the United States, a great leader or a government, to say, look, guys, we realize everyone's scared for different reasons. And we've got all these things going on. We are going to take care of both of the sides of the situation and really try to help everyone. And then we can go to the negotiation tables. My father was an attorney, and he went from civil law, practicing in courts and so forth, to going into mediation. Excuse me, I always say mediation. And I think we just need mediation, whatever it's called. What's it called, Alec?
Listen, I agree with you. And here's the reality. You can't make a beautiful painting just using white, or just using cream, or just using brown, or just using black, or just using yellow, or just using red, right? It takes everything and everyone. And that's what the beautiful thing about this world is that we're all different. And that's what makes it beautiful. Now, so I couldn't agree with you more. But I will say that leadership is the responsibility of all of us, right? It's the responsibility of all of us. We're all influencers. We all have the opportunity to impact people in our lives, in our community. We have the responsibility to lead ourselves and lead our families. We want to go beyond that. We need to influence in a positive way our neighbors, our community, our towns, our cities, our states, our country. And that's how we change. But it starts with us. So while I agree with you, I would say that, to say that someone needs to take control and this is exactly what we're going to do, it's not just one person. It's not going to be the president isn't king, whether it's Trump or whether it's someone else.
It's the government. It's not just one person. I'm not saying Trump. Look, President Trump's very different than most presidents. We can all agree with that. The thing is, I'm not saying just the one person. I'm saying there's a government.
But they need to be adults.
Right?
You can't fight the cats and dogs just because they're flying under a different banner. Oh, you've got a D before your name. Oh, you've got an R. That means you're my enemy. That's why I jokingly said to you before, you kind of, we think differently. And I said, oh, I hate you. But that's what I love, is I love to have conversations. I love to have political discourse conversations with people. And I'm a libertarian. I'm kind of in the middle. I probably lean more one way than the other, but I'm kind of the guy in the middle. So I love to have these conversations, and I love to have, listen, differences is what makes life interesting. Like, I love the conversations I've had with you guys. Laurel was talking about disaster hours. Dude, the time that we spent together with Dan Clark and with all, dude, what a great time we had, right? And we're all different, right?
Can I share something with you guys real quick? Check out Alec. Don't move. You look great. Don't move. Check out the he knows I'm going somewhere with this. Check out the clouds and everything behind, and you can see the Alec's hair just flowing in the.
He's got a little bit of he's got the Elvis curl, but it's just the curl.
Sometimes it flows right into the.
This gets chopped tomorrow, thankfully.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, and it's about to rain.
Yeah. So Alec, how you doing, buddy? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Great. I appreciate the opportunity to say something.
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Yeah, you guys are nonstop. I love it.
Passion, baby.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Our city is hopefully calming down. We're fortunate in that we're not 7 or 8 days into the riot and looting from the professionals. We had a bad first night, and much calmer last night, at least in this area, the greater downtown Back Bay area. But devastating and just really, really upsetting. And I don't know how far you went on that topic, but it's just really it's just very concerning that people have taken the social injustice and wanting to do the peaceful protests to make a change and turn that into an opportunity to take advantage of others. And it's not the locals. It's not they call them thugs or whatever they want to call them. These are professionals with walkie-talkies in cars and and signals and on their own channel radioing each other like where they're moving to take advantage, and that just put a cloud, no pun here, but put a cloud overhead for what we're all trying to do is making a statement around what we want to see happen. And I'm not here to judge. In the court of public opinion, I guess we're all worried. We're pent up because there's 4 people involved here, and 1's in jail and 3 are sitting at home. And why are they not all, being charged? And that, I guess we got to give them a little time for them to just thoroughly look at everything, and then be able to as the Attorney General of Minnesota said, we're trying to move as fast as we can, but once we've got everything in hand, we will take action quickly. So I think what's happening here is that people are we're all upset that it's taken so long, and that how come there are people that were truly involved and not being charged. And so again, not trying to the facts will come out. And today we were fortunate to have videos of these situations, what's needed to let those facts play out. You can't hide the fact that someone had their knee on someone's neck, pleading, times to can't breathe, an EMT in the background saying, let me check his pulse, and that, they're not allowed to. And then pleading for roughly 7 to 9 minutes, and then of course dies on the scene, and they say, died shortly thereafter. But the bottom line is, you think you guys were saying it, that the police, they need to be accountable for everything. I don't judge someone's by the past, and I don't really care if the union stepped in to support them to some level, or to try to just protect them. They're living to the same standard we live in, and it's not high. I don't think it's higher. It's the same standard. If you do something wrong, you pay for it. And so if they did do something wrong, and there were those accusations, if you're in the line of duty or in the front line, and someone feels you were aggressive toward them, in that moment, some decisions require that someone to do something. Was it right or wrong? They deal with that, and they're either I don't think things get brushed under the rug. I think people are legitimately being accused of what they did, if it was, and being either be reprimanded, moved to new positions, or fired, or in this case, jailed, and potentially, soon to be charged, with murder. So I think we just, let that will play out. And I just really wish that we could all unite around, the social injustice, because there's been too many of these cases. Yeah. So what is the standard that needs to change, and that everyone must live under, so that we don't have any more of these situations occur?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And by the way, with that said, I have a lot of respect for the police officers because, again, I know a lot of them that are friends of mine, and many of them do put their lives on the line every time they put on the uniform. Every time they stop a car, they don't know what's in that car. They don't know if there's a gun in that car. They don't know if the person's a criminal. They don't know what's going on. Yeah. So I have mad respect to the police officers, and they have to deal with crazy people, and they have to deal with people that are strung out on meth and hyped up on this and hyped up on that, and who's carrying needles and sticking them, and who's, I've heard so many horrible stories. So I know that it's not an easy job. It is a difficult job, and many times it's a thankless job.
Right. And it results in injury or death. Like the bottom line is they're putting their neck on the line. They're putting their lives on the line. And I'm not, my point in this is that sometimes, there's a quick decision made and it's wrong. And sort of, that gets dealt with. In other instances like these last few cases, there was a deliberate action taken. There was an opportunity to reverse it. Like if you think you go up to, I don't want to speak for any policeman or anyone, but you go up to a car and someone puts their hand toward their pocket, like your first thought is that they're reaching for a gun or whatever. I get that. Like, there's a moment of concern for the safety of yourself, the other fellow officers, and anyone in the situation. But when there's a deliberate action taken that's clearly the result of a death of someone, and it's now that there's a video to prove it. That to me is completely different, right? Because you took 9 minutes to think about the situation. Here's a guy who's handcuffed on the ground and there's a knee on his neck, and he said 18 plus times he can't breathe. Right? Like what went through your head to say that we're in a situation where we have to mobilize him this way, or that he's a threat, or he's whatever that would cause someone to do that. So I look at this one and just say it was just a blatant act on someone's part that resulted in the death of someone, and so you pay for your actions.
Yeah, he was handcuffed, and the back of the squat bars are built in a way that you just throw them in there, place them in there, you put them in there, and even if they go a little nuts, there's only so much damage they can cause to themselves and to the vehicle. And if he was really unruly, you can tase him, kind of like
there's a lot you can do before killing him. Yeah,
there's a lot that could have been done before doing that. There's no reason to keep anybody on the floor for that long. Why? What was the purpose? Were people in imminent danger? No, his hands were already cuffed. Yeah. And go on and on.
Yeah. So again, we're not going to sit here and try this case, in the public. Let this will all come out. And I heard, I was pleased by the police chief coming out and saying, the police chief going to the exact place where he died, and he actually spoke to his brother, through CNN, took his hat off and respected the family. And he said that he, just how sorry he was, and that he took swift action. The action he could take was to fire them, and he did it immediately. And now the Attorney General saying the action they're taking is looking at all these facts, and they will move quickly and will take action as warranted. Which now I feel good that that people are coming out and saying the right things and doing the right things. And yes, it has taken a little longer than it should, and it should not have happened again. Like, there's got to be swift change to not let situations like this happen that are not that momentary quick decisions that one regrets. These are minutes worth of somebody doing something that they had full sound in mind and body to prevent.
I mean, listen, every cop at this point should almost have PTSD of the words, "I can't breathe."
Right.
Yep. After the last time that happened. So when the words came out, how do you not react and say, "Oh, damn, hold on, these words are scarred into my brain here"?
Yeah. I just want to bring this up, and you're right, Alec. I just wanted to say I agree with 1,000% of what you said. It's true. Like, we're not here. This session right now on Facebook we're not here to try the case. But you're right. And this is Tony's feed, by the way.
To be honest, this started off as Loral and finance, so I don't know how much you have to cut this to separate, because this is a completely this is actually should have been a show on its own, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it kind of devolved or evolved.
I just came in to say hi. I don't know what happened.
Me too. I was just saying now.
It's all
I want to show this to you. So like, you know how they're saying, well, there was video of it, of the situation. And then they're saying, well, we got to wait till the body cam video comes out. And they were delaying anything of any arrest because they wanted to see the body cam video. Well, I saw this body cam video 4 or 5 days ago. So I don't understand the government or the police department over in Minneapolis doesn't have this video. Did you guys see the body? I'm not going to show it to you, but this is the body cam video. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'll just push play so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah. This is literally the body cam video of the on the officer getting out of his car and going over, see what's going on. And right. This is the whole video. So I don't understand why they can't find this and bring it to.
It's unfortunate. It's CYA.
Right. No, I don't know if it's that as much as, you know. Listen, before you come out and you have to know what charges and to what degree, yeah, and so it's like, okay, let's look at all the facts in the situation. So I'm not siding with you know. Okay, but wait. Let's wait. Hold on, Eric, please. It's taken way too long. It's taken way too long, and there's all this is available. So I don't know what they're going to have to come out and say. Why did it take so long? What was all of the stuff you had to analyze? Body cams, other interviewing people on scene, getting the actual building cameras that, you know, for surveillance cameras, for other angles. Like, I don't know how much they feel that they're gathering, but they're hopefully will get it all. They'll act swiftly once they've seen all that, put the correct charges in place, and make the arrests that are necessary. And then it will be tried, and all of that will be used in the court of law for the sentencing. So.
You know, I pray that he gets justice, and I believe there certainly will, that he will get justice, and that there's peace in all of it.
I have a quick question for you guys. There's 4 individuals in circles and 1 X right there. The X just passed away right there after 9 minutes, and these 4 individuals were on the scene. Yeah. And there's a video of these 4 individuals on the scene. And these 4 individuals in this example, okay, are not police officers. I'm sorry, how do I do this? There we go. No? There we go. Yeah. It's hard to do it backwards. These are not police officers. They're just 4 individuals. And that was a 7-Eleven, let's say, and the guy passes away. What do? You don't, and I'm not arguing with you, Alec. I'm just saying, what the hell are we waiting on?
I know.
You don't, let me just finish one sentence, I'll be done. You don't say, well, we'll just get one of the individuals and then we'll figure out the rest later after we investigate everything for about 2 weeks or a month or whatever. What you do, what police officers are trained to do, like normal police officers, not corrupt ones, is to arrest all parties involved at the scene that were obviously, what's it called when? Probable cause, whatever it's called, right? Like they you're not going to arrest everyone. Like
yeah, they're possible.
Yeah, you're not going to arrest everyone just walking around, walking their dog. They weren't involved. Arrest the people who they think that could be possibly involved, and then does it go to indictment? Do we get a grand jury? Does this look like yes, we got all the evidence in, or most of it's coming in? Yeah, it does look like these guys. Yeah, let's charge them. I mean, at least arrest the frickers. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, man, you got me on a little.
We're all on the same page that it's taken too long and that action should have been taken,
and that's a great point you just made, Alec. Because can you tell those cops to be quiet behind you there? That's a great point because actions have not taken that. It's delayed, and the delaying of the actions of this example that I just gave you. It has caused protesting and riots everywhere, and now everything's just in chaos, right? The United States is in chaos at this point, and rightfully so. I mean, I see I'm not happy about it, but rightfully so. I see why it happened, and I'm pissed off.
I heard something today, and I guess I'll end it with this, and then you guys can say a last word. But I'll end it with this. And I said this earlier with Loral, but I like to say, people say Black Lives Matter. And I was like, well, all lives matter. And, I agree with that. Then I read something today that really sharpened that. And they said, well, that's like saying, but my house is on fire. Well, but everyone's house could catch fire. Yeah, but it's my house that's on fire. I'm like, damn. So yeah, Black Lives Matter, Blackout Tuesday. Respect for all those who have had to face, certainly respect for the families, and my condolences to the families of all that have been affected by this, and for all the people that are facing injustice. And as Martin Luther King says, tolerance of injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. Because the reality of it is, and this is where we've got to be careful to make sure that we keep this under control, because if it gets out of control,
it's already out of control.
The powers that be would love nothing more than to do whatever the hell they want to do with anyone at any given time. And it doesn't matter how anybody wants to look at that. That's the reality. People that are in power would love nothing more than to have absolute power and to do whatever they will. Oh, you know what, Mr. Awesome, you said something bad about me. You don't agree with my political system. Off with you.
Yeah.
It used to be like that. In some places, it still is. So the people that are in absolute power would love nothing more than to have that happen. And it's up to us to have the courage to step up and speak against those injustices so that doesn't happen. Because like I said, injustice anywhere threatens the justice everywhere. Because today it was George. Tomorrow it could be Tony. It could be Eric. It could be Alec.
So guys, I'm going to concur with your conclusion. I got to go. It's the rain is starting to come down. I got to get off the roof. So we will.
I got one more thing to say, but Alex,
I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
Appreciate you, my friend.
So I have one more thing to say, if I may, Tony. Yes.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to address what you said about the fire burning houses thing. I see your point. I've heard that. I've heard it before. Last week I heard it. And, you were talking about all lives matter. And then you were saying, well, if my house is burning, it's not all houses, it's this house. I believe that there's a time situation there that is not thrown into that equation. I think that people are diluting both and putting it all together, and it's convoluting the whole situation of that phrase, of that thought pattern. What I mean by that, I'll explain what I'm saying. I believe all lives matter. And that statement, I've said it last week, and then somebody corrected me and said, no, you can't say that. It's too soon. Don't say it now. Black lives matter, not all lives. I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, but all lives do matter. But okay, I see your point. I'm not going to say it anymore right now because I see you're talking about Black lives right now, or whatever lives right now, whatever the case is, right? In this case, it was Black lives. So I get it. I think there's a time difference that, my point is all lives matter, all humans matter equally, absolutely equally. And that's what I'm talking about. Like it's a longevity statement.
Great.
Does that make sense? And so I just want to mention that real quick. And I do agree that I think that your point, or your friend's point, whoever told you that one about the house is on fire, hey, it's my house, not everyone's house. I agree with that. The Black houses are on fire right now, meaning the Black race, the Black systemic situation is on fire right now. So I've shut up saying all lives matter because it's not the right time to say it. And once we get through this solution, then it'll be the right time to say it. That's my opinion.
Now, that's why I said, I changed my opinion the minute I read that.
Yeah.
Not my opinion. That's not that, because I wasn't against that.
Sure.
Or anything. But yeah. So with that said, man, listen, I just want to, Dana actually made a really good.
Dana, Lisa Gang, ladies and gentlemen.
She made a good point and said, to do the Ho'oponopono. So I'm sorry.
All the what?
The Ho'oponopono. If you've never heard it, it goes like this. And I'll just say the phrase and say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And that's how we're just going to wrap the show up today. Thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate everyone. Thank you for hanging out here for an hour and a half. This started something and went into something else.
My name is Loral Langemeier. My name is Loral Langemeier. Take care.
I appreciate all of you. And just remember to love each other, love those that love you, and send a little love to those who don't, because sometimes they're the ones who need it the most. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tony.
See you, brother. Thank you.
Bye.